So here we are with the most up-to-date releases for the franchise. When I created my original trilogy of videos back in 2021, Tears of the Kingdom did not have a name, and all we had was that wonderful teaser trailer filled with lots of unused content with Link and Zelda travelling the depths together. My conclusion last time was that Zelda was limited so far by the battle of player versus great evil, with my hopes being that she becomes more actively involved in future games and potentially even playable. Since those videos, we've received 2 mainline titles that use Zelda in completely different ways. Shall we have a look into them? After an unknown period of time after the events of Breath of the Wild, Link and Zelda go to the Great Deku Tree to retrieve the Master Sword, as they left it in his care with the Calamity gone. The Master Sword's power has been fully restored. Zelda and the Deku Tree lore drop that the Master Sword can naturally heal and restore itself regardless of any damage sustained, and if bathed in sacred power, it becomes even more powerful. After obtaining the sword, Link and Zelda explore a secret passage hidden beneath Hyrule Castle. Although Zelda had been warned that not even the royal family was to go there over 100 years ago, she believes that what lies beneath is connected to the strange phenomenon spreading throughout Hyrule, known as gloom, which is making the people very ill. As they travel, they find ancient ruins that Zelda identifies as being of Zonai origin. They find a mural depicting a great war against the Demon King. Another mural shows the Zonai descending from the sky and joining hands with a Hylian female, which causes Zelda to realise that the gods that founded the royal family with her ancestors were actually Zonai. Ever the nerd and scholar, Zelda takes photos on her Purah Pad, a modern version of the Sheikah Slate, created by, of course, Purah. In the deepest chamber, Link and Zelda find a mummified figure held by a disembodied arm, gloom swarming out of it. As they approach, the arm falls off and drops a teardrop-shaped gem. Zelda cautiously picks it up, intrigued, and it begins to glow in her hand. The figure suddenly comes to life and strikes at Zelda with a surge of gloom. Link defends the princess. A second strike decays the Master Sword and Link's arm, and a third shatters the sword. The mummy laughs at the sword's uselessness against him. He recognises Zelda and ascertains that the holder of the sword is Link. He mocks Link's inability to do anything against him but give him a mere scratch, saying that Rauru, whoever the hell that is, Zelda, frightened, asks how the mummy knows their names. Ignoring her, the mummy launches a strong blast of gloom at the ceiling, causing Hyrule Castle to rise. The underground starts to fall apart and collapse all around them. Zelda loses her footing and falls. Link jumps after her, missing her hand by mere centimetres. Zelda is absorbed by a glowing gold light and vanishes. While Princess Zelda herself is actually missing for most of the game, her presence is felt throughout Hyrule through a variety of quests. At the start of Link's quest, on the opening Sky Island, Link sees a ghostly apparition of her in strange new clothes, who offers out her hand and grants him the recall power. When his tasks are done on the island, the Light Dragon appears and parts the clouds to reveal Hyrule below. Link hears a telepathic message from the princess asking Link to find her, and he heads down into Hyrule to find her. At Hyrule Castle, Link spots the princess for the first time, in person, but she acts odd, floating up and teleporting away. In the regional phenomena quests, Zelda is involved in a bunch of them. In the Lanayru region, Zelda met with King Dorephan and Muzu descending from the sky with a sludge monster. She sets the monster on them, gravely injuring the Zora King, after which she vanishes. In the Gerudo Desert, Zelda is spotted walking towards some tornadoes and is never seen or heard of again. In the Eldin region, Zelda gave Yunobo the mask that has changed his personality and has him mine out the contaminated marbled rock roasts. When Link and some young Gorons try to persuade him to stop, Zelda uses the mask to mind control Yunobo further into attacking. In the chaos, the fake escapes. Link and Yunobo later find her approaching the summit of Death Mountain before disappearing into the smoke. Zelda is believed to have been consumed by the marbled Goma, so they attempt to rescue her, but she vanishes. And they don't care much that she isn't there. Don't know why, they just don't. During a blood moon, Purah notices Zelda's standing strangely in Hyrule Castle as it is corrupted by gloom, but then it passes and she is gone. Link goes to investigate and Zelda telepathically calls him to her. She tells him where to find her, but she keeps disappearing and monsters then attack Link. She leads him all the way to the sanctum. She states she's been waiting for him to arrive and has something to show him. With magic, she restores the throne room to its former glory. She asks what Link thinks of it, but she keeps strangely appearing from different locations constantly. She tells him to take it in, as it will be the last thing he ever sees. An apparition of the mummy appears to Link. He reveals that Zelda is actually his puppet, and had used it to mislead and occupy the hero. The mummy then makes it disappear forever, turning it into a phantom of him, as the indirect approach is no longer needed with Link. Link is later called on by a spirit, who leads him to another temple. There she introduces herself as Minoru, and that Zelda asked her to aid him. She had originally planned to aid him straight away from the Purapad, guide him to her construct and aid him on his journey. She tells him the history of Ganondorf, the mummy, and the sages in full, with Zelda being the mysterious sage of time mentioned by the other sages. As players, we would have seen her as this already. Zelda was present during the imprisoning war somehow. Throughout Link's other quests, he learns more about Zelda's involvement with the past and its influence on current events. With Impa, Link investigates strange geoglyphs that have appeared around Hyrule, sourced from the tears of the Light Dragon. As such, the Zelda he saw at the castle was obviously a fake all along, as should all of the other horrible accounts and actions he's seen from her. Now, Zelda's actual story. Zelda is discovered by two individuals in a field. She introduces herself as the Princess of Hyrule. The figures, confused, introduce themselves as the founders of the Kingdom of Hyrule, the Zonai King Rauru and his Hylian wife Queen Sonia. They take Zelda to a higher advantage point, and Zelda confirms that this is not her Hyrule, wondering how far she had fallen into the past with how different the landscape is. Rauru and Sonia believe Zelda is their descendant due to her owning a secret stone, the gem Zelda picked up earlier, on top of Sonia sensing a blood connection alongside detecting Rauru's light power and her time magic within Zelda. Zelda is anxious, however, to return home to her time, but with no idea how she even got there, despairs. Sonia comforts her and invites her back to the castle, under the guise of being a distant relative. Rauru suggests consulting his older sister Minoru on the matter as well. After some time, Zelda meets with Minoru. Minoru confirms Zelda's story due to her Purapad, with it being a device she has never seen before. Minoru borrows the device to try and see if she can get its travel function working again, i.e. teleportation. Minoru explains to Zelda the nature of the secret stones, that they only amplify what is already there in someone, with Zelda's stone focusing on her power over time. However, the mastery of said power is up to the user, not the stone, so if Zelda doesn't know how to get home, the stone can't suddenly help her do it. Zelda clenches her fists in frustration and disappointment. Minoru also explains the forbidden act known as draconification, in which an individual swallows a secret stone to transform themselves into an immortal dragon, one blessed with eternal life. In a sense, a way for Zelda to return to her time just by waiting for it to come to pass. Minoru is, however, against the idea, since Zelda would be compromising herself, as she has to shed who she was once before to be a dragon, with there being no way to reverse it. Zelda is disappointed once more. Rauru noticed, comforting her, as there is still some hope with Sonia as her teacher, so Zelda might be able to master her powers and learn how to return home herself. One day, the kingdom is being approached by a swarm of Molduga. The royals rush to where it is occurring. Rauru channels his light energy to defeat them, with Sonia supporting him with her power. Sonia prompts Zelda to join, to copy her. She and Zelda are then surprised at the raw power that Zelda has within her. Rauru also notices it, and the blast of light they all produce easily defeats the monsters. Following these events, Ganondorf, the king of the Gerudo, arrives in the kingdom, finally responding to Rauru's invites to come. Zelda is present at his audience, standing by Rauru and Sonia. He swears fealty before leaving. Zelda warns the royal couple that she senses Ganondorf's appeal has ulterior motives. Rauru brushes off her worries. He knows Ganondorf is evil, but believes that keeping him close and observing him will assist them in dealing with him. Zelda relents, but remains worried. Sometime later, Zelda has tea with Sonia and Rauru. She accidentally knocks over one of the cups, and Sonia returns it to the table with the recall ability, noting Zelda's distracted nature. Zelda reveals she's still overwhelmed with thoughts of returning home and of learning Sonia's control over her power. Sonia explains how she manages her power over the recall ability, but notes that Zelda isn't just worried about returning home, but is torn as she wishes to help them in this era. Zelda confirms it and is told not to worry, to focus on returning home. Zelda's power can protect her era, and she must return to put Link at ease. Zelda then explains her history with Link to Rauru, who had not heard of him yet. The way that Zelda speaks of Link, a little flushed, avoiding eye contact, ends with Rauru and Sonia wanting to meet him, but laughing at Zelda's very shy nature about him. At some point, Sonia and Zelda become aware of an imposter Zelda, a puppet of Ganondorf, who arranges to meet with Sonia alone one night. At the meeting, Zelda is able to freeze the blade thrown to kill Sonia in time. Together, the ladies confront the puppet, and Zelda uses recall to return the blade to the fake. The puppet laughs and becomes consumed with dark energy. Zelda thrusts herself in front of the queen to protect her, but the puppet and the dark magic just vanish. Distracted and confused, Sonia is suddenly struck by Ganondorf himself with his fist, and he steals her stone. Distraught, Zelda rushes to the unconscious or dead Queen's side, and Ganondorf laughs at her despair. As Zelda holds on to Sonia, dead or dying, she can only watch in terror as Ganondorf is transformed into the Demon King, oozing the stolen secret stone, the blood moon rising. He smirks at the princess as he summons legions of monsters. Rauru arrives, notices what has occurred, and runs to his wife and Zelda. Ganondorf baits Rauru and is almost successful if it was not for Zelda telling him that the queen needs him. At his failure, Ganondorf blasts malice at the trio, with Rauru defending them with a shield of light. As his power weakens, Zelda then uses the Purapad, using its repaired travel function for them to all escape together. Much later, at the Forgotten Temple, Rauru, Minoru, and Zelda meet with the master leaders of the Goron, Gerudo, Zora, and Rito tribes. They report on the Demon King's army to them. Minoru reminds Rauru that he cannot defeat the Demon King alone, but he isn't on his own in this. Rauru bestows secret stones to the other races, who along with Zelda and Minoru pledge to serve Rauru as sages. As they prepare for battle, Zelda meets with Rauru by the grave of Sonia, who did not survive her injury, or was already dead. It's not really clear. Zelda finally reveals the rest of her circumstances to Rauru, recalling how she and Link discovered a mummified corpse underground, and she knows for sure that it is Ganondorf now. She is terrified, knowing that they will be unable to defeat the Demon King in the past, in this current time. She then notices that Rauru's arm is the same disembodied arm that held the corpse in place, and realizes it is his fate to die. Rauru surprises Zelda by accepting his fate. He wants to atone for his hubris and protect his land and people. Even if they all fail, Link is their last line of defense. Rauru departs, leaving Zelda wondering what her purpose in the past truly is. The ancient war between good and evil reaches its climax during the King and the Sage's confrontation with Ganondorf. With the Demon King's power proving too much for their combined power, Rauru prepares to make the ultimate sacrifice to seal Ganondorf away. As Minoru collapses, the remaining 4 sages launch their weapons at Ganondorf, who evades them easily. Zelda uses recall to send all 4 weapons back at the Demon King, but Ganondorf anticipates the technique and smacks them aside. However, this distraction provides Rauru with the opportunity to strike Ganondorf, binding him and stealing his magic to hold him in place for as long as he possibly can. Zelda can only watch with despair as Rauru dies to hold Ganondorf at bay. The imprisoning war ends bittersweetly and dangerously in a temporary fashion. Later, in the Temple of Time, Zelda reflects on the botched success, recalling how easily the Master Sword shattered against a weakened Ganondorf's power. She remains unsure if Link can live up to Rauru's expectations. Just then, her secret stone glows, and Zelda heads outside to find a golden light at the altar that resonates with her stone. Zelda watches with amazement as the light activates and the damaged Master Sword appears from it, landing in her hands. The sword speaks to her, informing her that Link is safe, and it had travelled back in the past on purpose to find Zelda to recover and build up enough strength to destroy Ganondorf. Finally, Zelda realises her purpose, to safeguard the Master Sword as it rejuvenates, and return it to Link when the time comes. Zelda meets with Minoru to discuss the Master Sword. Zelda resolves to become an immortal dragon to give the Master Sword all the sacred power it needs to be able to defeat Ganondorf. Minoru yells at Zelda to not do it, but after a coughing fit, she's dying from her wounds from the battle, and Zelda's affirmation, she relents. Minoru agrees to help Zelda and Link long after she perishes, a sage's spirit. Before Zelda becomes a dragon, she travels to each of the other sages. She tells them of Link and that he will need their assistance. Each sage promises that the next sage will awaken to assist the new hero to defeat the Demon King. Minoru transfers her soul into the Purapad, and Zelda entrusts it to a construct that would then give it to Link in the present. Zelda steals herself before swallowing the secret stone. The sky darkens, and Zelda is overcome with intense pain as light bursts out of her. She grabs the Master Sword and holds it to herself. She cries out for Link to protect them all before her eyes turn draconic. Light explodes out and engulfs the princess as she turns into the Light Dragon, ascending to the sky. The dragon lets out tears, containing Zelda's memories that scatter across the land. Zelda, as the Light Dragon, starts the Master Sword's long healing and power-up process. Eventually, with all this knowledge, Link goes to retrieve the Master Sword from the Light Dragon. It is embedded in its forehead, entwined by the dragon's fur. The Light Dragon does not take kindly to Link trying to pull the sword and begins writhing and roaring as if trying to throw Link off. Eventually, the Light Dragon's eyes focus, and it flies up to a cloud realm filled with light. The hair relaxes, and allows Link to draw the blade. Link then sees a vision of Zelda, who talks to him about her vow to bring the Master Sword to him fully restored, and her strength will be with him through the sword. With everything prepared, Link goes after the Demon King Ganondorf. As Link defeats Ganondorf, he refuses to lose and goes through draconification himself. The demon dragon grabs Link in its jaws and ascends, breaking down the underground structures. As it surfaces from Hyrule Castle, the Light Dragon rushes at it. The demon dragon roars at the Light Dragon, releasing Link. The Light Dragon deftly dodges the bite of the demon dragon and catches Link midair, flying him up to fight the demon dragon. The demon dragon is defeated with the shattering of its secret stone. Link's arm from Rauru glows so bright that Link is blinded. He finds himself and the Light Dragon floating in a strange realm. His arm resonated with the dragon, and the spirits of both Rauru and Sonia appear beside Link. Link's hand glows gold with the recall ability, and it flows out to the Light Dragon. Rauru and Sonia combine their power with Link's, and the Light Dragon disappears, leaving Zelda behind, restored to her former self. Link's arm is also healed and no longer replaced. Rauru and Sonia disappear, and Link leaves this strange realm. Suddenly, Link finds himself free-falling, and locates Zelda unconsciously falling as well. He dives after her. Calling back to the beginning of the game, Link reaches out for her, and this time catches her hand. He pulls the princess to him and shelters her as best as possible as they dive headfirst into a body of water. He carries her out, still unconscious, and sets her out in the grass. Zelda then wakes up. She's confused at first to see Link and find her secret stone still around her neck. The Master Sword speaks to her, and she realised that it reached Link after all. Her plan had worked. Overwhelmed by emotions, Zelda realises that the Demon King must be gone, and asks if she isn't dreaming near tears. She suddenly stops questioning how she made it to the present day, but then understands that she'd been somehow sleeping throughout the passage of time, but when she felt something akin to a warm, loving embrace, she woke up. Zelda tells Link she has so much to tell him about everything, but overall she is just so happy to be home at last. Sometime later, Zelda, Link, Minoru, Purah, Tulin, Riju, Sidon, and Yunobo all gather atop the Temple of Time. It was Minoru's idea, as she wanted to share the view with everyone. Riju asks Zelda if she really was just roaming the sky all along. Zelda confirms, but still doesn't quite understand it all. Minoru confirms that Rauru and Sonia channeled their power through Link to change Zelda back. She then reveals her time has come and tells Zelda to not worry as the burden of her era is overcome, and they no longer need her. She knows she can move on to the afterlife, knowing the world is safe in everyone's hands. The new sages reaffirm their vow, but alter it that they will support Zelda and protect Hyrule. Everyone watches as Minoru ascends, promising to pass on Zelda's feelings to Rauru and Sonia. Zelda declares that those of the past didn't just want to defeat the Demon King, but usher in eternal peace, and that she dedicates herself to their goal for all time. She asks her friends to stand with her in this. And that's it. The end. The The next game in this selection of games, serving as a sequel to Breath of the Wild, with no relation to Age of Calamity. How does the game show Zelda's evolution in the series overall, as well as within this subsection? At a base level, Princess Zelda is still quite similar to Breath of the Wild again. She's lost to Link, first to the ancient past, and then in her new form as the Light Dragon. And again, her role is more active in the memories than in the current day. In the past, she makes preparations, and in the present, she's in some sort of frozen, trapped fugue state that can't be actively interacted with as Zelda, just like the last game. The differences really are in the details and her changed relationship with Link, as he's no longer a reminder of the bad things to her and how she is lesser for her shortcomings. Some small details that some may not notice or bother caring about can be seen within Link and Zelda's relationship. In Breath of the Wild's memories, Link was almost always walking a few paces behind Zelda as a dutiful knight and as one who is ranked below the princess would. Now in Tears of the Kingdom, Link and Zelda walk side by side as equals and have a closer relationship, whether you see it as romantic or not. They are hinted at living together in the house that Link bought in Hateno Village, with Zelda having established a school where she sometimes teaches, and she is well liked by the students. Even as Hyrule's princess, she lives a more humble life, as the world has been without the royal family and all the pomp and ceremony that goes with it for years. The only difference is the respect she receives from the leaders of each race of Hyrule, as she is their class equal. Zelda does still have her own space within this perceived shared house, though, through a small study area built into a well near the house. With her diary in the well, she mentions that Link is her constant companion and that she's made an order for new clothing for him since his current set is getting worn out by their travels. Zelda even has planned a whole little surprise in the throne room through a torch puzzle in order to get it, since Link is evidently meant to be into searching for stuff and puzzles. Zelda's super excited to see his face when he collects it. Certainly not the same relationship they had before. Zelda wouldn't have set up a whole thing linked to Link's interests if they weren't close. However, this relationship is never explored much due to the conveniences of the story and the lack of Link's reaction to anything involving her. He has almost zero reaction to finding out she is the dragon. Link is too subdued in this game. Compare it to Skyward Sword, where he cries at the loss of her. Even when Zelda talks about him, she is clearly shy about their relationship. She keeps the conversation quite formal, and never calls him even a friend. He is a knight who was assigned to protect her. He became a hero by saving her and Hyrule. Nothing else said. These characters are implied to live with one another, but they are more touch and emotion adverse than the childhood friends who were crushing on one another. So Zelda is finally able to have positive parental figures this time in both Rauru and Sonia, who help her develop her new powers and assist her in adjusting to the ancient past. Sonia takes the place of what Zelda's dead mother was supposed to do in Breath of the Wild's past, to teach Zelda and assist her in the use of her magic. With the founding king and queen, Zelda thrives with their knowledge and affection, getting the love she so needed from her own parents. It makes it even worse for her to have to lose parental figures again through Sonia's murder and Raru's sacrifice, but this time it does not break her. She stays determined in her ability to move forward and help Link with the power and knowledge she gained from them and Minoru. Through the Lucky Clover Gazette side quest, we as players learn more about Zelda's character. There are evil and good Zeldas depicting in these tales. First there are the evil Zeldas, the princess who spooked the horse of a travelling troupe and told the great fairies to hide away. The princess who terrified her own rare golden horse so much it ran away. Second, there is the kind princess, who teaches travelling cooks a new recipe, created a new recipe for goat feed, who sealed and blocked off a well full of monsters for the safety of others, even if it meant the stable had to eventually close its doors. She disappeared, it couldn't be helped. And who borrowed farm tools to help create a plant sanctuary with flower blight Magda. Thirdly, just like Breath of the Wild, the scholarly Zelda, who discovered a new beast called the Don, having rode one and left them in the care of another, and encouraged the Zonai survey teams to take all paths in research, strengthening both mind and body. Here they misunderstood and believed she meant for them to do it in their underwear. The biggest story from this set of quests is that Zelda has been kidnapped. You find the princess, but whenever you free her, it turns out it's just a Yiga assassin. While some of the stories Link hears are not actually about the princess, a bunch of them are, telling varying versions of the princess. Some of the stories started off with a menacing rumour that turns out to be a story darkened by the rumour mill that is actually wholesome, like the one about the Don. Other times it turns out the story was just a random person, a Yiga, or hinted at being the fake puppet Zelda. It goes to prove that despite harsh rumours, Zelda has been established once more as a beloved figure in Hyrule, likely respected due to her deeds during the Calamity and her more down-to-earth nature and will to learn and help all. And now to criticise. The irritating thing about the storytelling of the game is that even if you find all of Zelda's memories first, you can't tell other people that it is a fake Zelda running around, and the game still performs as if you still believe the fake Zelda is real, even if you know the real Zelda is currently a dragon. Link doesn't tell anyone! Also, Ganondorf's puppet Zelda never acts like the real Zelda, so it's a wonder that people thought she was the real one and didn't consider that she could be possessed by the gloom or something else. Another annoyance about the memories is that, just like in Breath, you can find them out of order. In this game, it completely fucks with the story, and it can drop some really important scenes without the context the prior one should give. They should have been locked in order, and have any reference of Zelda becoming a dragon locked off until you complete certain quests pertaining to the sages, so that its impact is given its due and you don't have to go through the Felder stuff acting like it's true. Furthermore, I do think that Felder is actually incredibly underused. Some of the Lucky Clover stories hint at them being Felder, but never confirm it, and it's just weird random stuff that she's doing, like scaring horses. Surely you have better things to have your phantom do, Ganondorf, than just scare some fucking horses. Evidently, the regional phenomena are supposed to be implied to be caused by her, but the only one that uses this potential well enough is the Goron storyline with her repeated presence. The Rito one has no hint of Felder at all. Another issue with Zelda's story is how disjointed it is. There are loads of gaps in time between the memories, and things don't quite add up as smoothly. The first 3 memories flow into each other easily, but then there's the sudden Molduga attack, where Zelda is shown to have more innate power than Sonia, and the introduction of Ganondorf. Only then, at the following Tea Time memory, does it seem like Zelda finally gets some training over her time magic, before suddenly being able to use it perfectly in the next memory, being that of Sonia's murder and the introduction of Felder in the past. Then, after those 2 memories, another unspecified amount of time passes before the not-quite-yet sages meet with Zelda and Rauru, during which it is confirmed that Sonia had passed away. No notes on whether it was an instant punch death or she diminished from her internal wounds and died. Then, in the battle, whenever after that, Zelda has expanded her abilities further and can reverse several objects at once. We don't get enough time to see Zelda and her bond with her new family and comrades. We once more aren't given a proper opportunity to care about these characters that she cares about. Sonia dies and we barely care because we don't know her well enough to care. And also, how can you be serious when that fucking face is there? We have Rauru around longer, but again, there's no real emotional impact with his death, even if Zelda feels it keenly. Zelda and Ganondorf don't interact. You put the biggest villain in the series in a room with her, and she knows the name Ganon means bad in her time. And they don't do anything. How did they know about the puppet Zelda? Why did he pick Zelda as a puppet in the first place? It's even worse with the sages this time because they don't even have names in the game. My fucking god, we needed an equivalent of Age of Calamity for this period because, for fuck's sake, the past is so just touched on so fucking little, despite there being a whole team out there meant to be researching this past. Maybe make this your Zelda as the protagonist game because we have no idea what this girl is doing when the memories end. Moving on. Like earlier games, Zelda's suspicions of Ganondorf are based on her sensing dark ambition from him. It's strange that she doesn't mention his similarity to the mummy she saw or the mirrors in the cave earlier. She mentions that his name gives her pause, a reference that we'd all know as Calamity Ganon, but she never elaborates on it specifically to the people she's around. She only tells Rauru all of this, at least the part about the mummy, when it is far too late, when his wife is dead and his kingdom is under siege from a demonic madman. If she wanted to help them, as Sonia sensed, why didn't she warn them before? Even though she wasn't sure, telling them surely wouldn't have hurt, especially when the result of all the fighting and heartache ended in sealing Ganondorf away to clash swords with Link in the future. If she was concerned about changing history, her being there should have been alarming enough. Even if it was just closing a time loop for her. Rauru's theory isn't true and was proven from the start of the game, as Ganondorf knew of her and Link before she travelled back in time. She really is just fulfilling the timeline of events just by being there. Try, princess, please, your mother figure has died again. I know this criticism does seem like I'm doing a Tears of the Kingdom version of my Breath of the Wild criticism video, but these things do warrant being spoken about in regard to Zelda's role in interpretation. It breaks canon with the prior game, and with how the game acts, it seems to break its own canon constantly by not acknowledging what is learned throughout the game. The way this story is told is flawed, as is the story itself in part, but that's another tale. It hurts the impact of Zelda's role in it. Rauru tries to tell the audience that Zelda's role in the past was important in changing the future, but really her being there was just setting things up for the future, for the player, as it was supposed to be. Once again, annoyingly, just like Breath of the Wild, Zelda is unchanged by the events of the game, apart from however long she lived in the ancient past. There's no consequences to her becoming a dragon, despite it being meant to be a permanent, irreversible thing, at least according to the tales Minoru tells. For some reason, Nintendo decided that both Link and Zelda just got a reset button, rewound to their states before the game happened to them. I've seen some cool fan arts where Zelda keeps some elements of her light dragon appearance, like the horns. Just something small like that could have shown that no matter how powerful the recall ability is, even in the hands of Rauru and Sonia together, it can't fully undo what Zelda did to herself, her sacrifice to bring about a better and safe future and an end to evil. There's no reference or hint that the power of light and time would be able to fix it. In the end, Zelda was just asleep the whole time she was a dragon, protected somehow until it was safe to wake up. Also, Zelda, as a dragon, seems to still have some minor semblance of self in her, even though draconification supposedly makes you lose yourself. The light dragon eventually realizes who is trying to take the Master Sword and calms down. It aids Link against the Ganon dragon, despite supposedly having no motivation or memories to know that it should do so, no longer actually being Zelda and all for countless years. All of the other dragons just seem to aimlessly fly in certain patterns. Why is the lore so inconsistent to the actions made by the characters? Furthermore, the minimal consequences of Zelda feeling like her power is spent at the end of Breath of the Wild seems to be completely missing from this game. Zelda just needs to learn to control her new time powers. Zelda is still filled with sacred power, despite it apparently being nearly depleted by the events of the last game. The only reason I could possibly use to explain this is that Zelda's light power that she inherited from Rauru is what is depleted, so that her secret stone amplifies her power over time that she has never used. Also, her actions in the end of her fixing the Master Sword come from her sacred light power, not the time power that she was trying to learn to use to return to the present. So what was the point apart from giving her a plotline that went nowhere? I suppose as well making her explicitly the Sage of Time, which people figured was Ocarina of Time, Zelda's title as 7th Sage. So again, a reference, great. Furthermore, the origins of her power have been retconned. Originally, her sacred power came from her bloodline, coming from Hylia, a goddess, specifically her human incarnation, Skyward Sword Zelda, not the interracial couple of a Hylian and Zonai, who were implied to be god-adjacent. We don't know if Sonia is a descendant of Hylia, only that she was a priestess, but it's heavily implied that Zelda's sacred power comes from Rauru now, not Hylia and the maternal line, as Zelda's mother had the power, not her shitty dad. Also, I should probably mention as well that Zelda in Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity was obsessed with ancient technology. We never see her interact with any Zonai technology. There is only one part in some stone tablets in the sky that mention Zelda, when visiting Minoru, rode a construct, so apart from that and her handing off the Purapad to a construct and her association with the research team, we have nothing. We don't even see her try to use any, we are just told. All these elements of Zelda's character and role make her almost like a Mary Sue. Everyone in Hyrule loves her. She's apparently a great cook, despite Age of Calamity hinting otherwise. She's a great painter. She's made a plant sanctuary, an animal sanctuary. She's now into being a historian for the Zonai instead of being into the Sheikah tech because it's all gone. Zelda's able to be freed from draconification, even when others have never been. As a dragon, Zelda is eventually able to retain some semblance of her past self so she can recognize Link, and knows that the demon dragon is 100% her enemy, when no other has reportedly. She appears to flawlessly master the time powers, as we never see her train, or at least try and fail. Zelda's rocky relationship with her powers was a key element of her character in both Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity, and this is just absent? She worries about figuring out her power as she accidentally and unknowingly used an overpowered version of it to fall into the past, but then she just settles on just being able to do recall, seemingly forgetting about her plan and wish to go home. It just doesn't make sense. Make it consistent and add more into her story so Zelda doesn't end up looking all perfect. Wait, you're not Zelda, you're Barbie. Good at everything, a finger in every pie, loved by all in the universe. Apart from Ganondorf. This version of Zelda isn't meant to be perfect by any means. She's meant to be messy and struggling. That was her whole character in Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity. I would have loved a scene where Zelda tries and fails to use her time power how she wants and ends up in tears or frightened, thinking that Sonia or Raru would act like her father and be horrible to her for failing, only for them to do the opposite, encourage her, support her to try again. Only then would Zelda be successful in her attempt to reverse time on an object. It would bring back the theme of Zelda's power needing love, support, and the right timing for it to work, instead of Rome's idea of vigorous training, a strict heavy hand, and trying to force it. The only messiness of Zelda is that she apparently didn't realise the truth of Ganondorf being the mummy until it was too late, that she, Raru, and the sages couldn't stop him, and she had to resort to sacrificing her very being to try to fix everything. Overall, in Tears of the Kingdom, Princess Zelda is just more of the same, yet also worse. She is limited by not being in the active main story, again, and is butchered by the delivery of the story, again. We're told she is important, she must be rescued, but we and Link in this game aren't given any reason apart from what we are just told. This is a sequel that is bizarrely at odds with its prequel, so that even if you played the game before, it's still confusing since the characters have changed and aren't developed much further. Princess Zelda, this time though, has one key difference. She isn't really a damsel in distress. While she may initially come across as such, the story, as I've tried to piece together and tell it well, is meant to show how she isn't. She isn't even a faux action girl either, as we actually get to see in some of the cutscenes what she can do. This Zelda was thrown into situations beyond her control, learnt new skills, and fought for peace in Hyrule at a time where it was utter chaos. They won at immense cost, and she knew it still wasn't enough. She made the decision to sacrifice herself for the betterment of Hyrule, not expecting the reward of her getting restored in the end. While Zelda ends up being Link's indirect helper in the game, she did act as a hero and was likely lauded for her actions akin to the other sages for a time, perhaps becoming the new origin for the royal family's use of the Princess Zelda title/name. Her actions in the game certainly are worth of the legend's status. This Zelda is just kinda hard to place and analyse to some extent due to the presentation of her role, the general lore, and a lot of ignorance to her already established character. Nintendo's priority on gameplay over story is really starting to show some extreme cracks. Freedom in a game is good, but for a game like this, you need a good storyline or connecting threads to keep up the enjoyment and engagement, because, to be honest, I didn't feel super connected to finishing this one. And I will admit here, it is 2025, and I still haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom, and I got it on release day. I just do not have the motivation to do it. And I think this analysis partly shows why.
Hark! Is that a game starring Princess Zelda as the protagonist? She has a magic staff?
Oh, this is just the studio. Wait, no, it's real! It's Nintendo!
Holy shit!
The game begins at what is normally the climax of an ordinary Zelda legend. Princess Zelda is held captive in a crystal by Ganon within Southern Ruins. Link defeats him, however Ganon has a trump card. His trident, remaining after his defeat, forms a rift, which Link is sucked into, but in a last-ditch attempt, Link fires an arrow at Zelda's crystal, cracking it before he's gone. Zelda then frees herself from the crystal after battering it a lot, and collects the discarded cloak of her saviour, before having to run for her life to escape the growing rift, following a strange light. Zelda is found outside the ruins by two guards, who then escort her home. At Hyrule Castle, Zelda reunites with her father and her nursemaid Impa, who are all relieved that she is safe. While in council with General Wright and Minister Left, the royals discuss the current issue at hand in Hyrule, with the increasing appearances of the rifts and people getting lost to them. Another report comes in that a villager from Southern Village has fallen into a rift and that dark monsters are appearing. Before they can act, a rift opens up in the throne room. The king pushes Zelda to safety, but is lost alongside his advisors. Suddenly, duplicates appear, and the fake king orders that Zelda be imprisoned, declaring that she is the creator of the rifts. In her cell, a strange light reveals itself to be a magical creature known as Tri. They showed her the way out of Southern ruins, and were too captured by Ganon. They came to warn the princess that the king was planning on executing her and suggest that they save the real king, general and minister to prove her innocence. In order to aid her escape and quest, Tri bestows Zelda with the Tri-Rod, which gives her the ability to create echoes of both living and inanimate matter. During her escape, Zelda bumps into Impa, who likewise doesn't believe that Zelda is evil and wishes to help her escape too. With Link's cloak and some clothes provided by Impa, Zelda has a disguise to get out of the castle and surrounding town undetected. Impa provides Zelda with a log containing a map so she can keep organised, before fighting off some guards so that Zelda may have a head start through the royal family shortcut. Through this, Zelda washes up near Southern Village, where the latest rift activity was recorded. Through Tri, Zelda is able to enter the still world created by the rifts safely and can work to heal it from finding other creatures like Tri who are trapped, as they can only fix it as a group. During her revisit to the ruins as part of this, Zelda confronts an evil copy of Link. When defeated, Zelda picks up his sword and gains the ability to transform into an accomplished fighter like Link, but only for a limited period of time. Once the rift is healed, Zelda finds that she has saved Minister Left, who takes her to Lubri's house, who is Impa's brother. He reveals that he and Link were working together to combat the rifts and the monsters that spawn from them, creating the Sword of Might, which Zelda now has. Since rifts don't make sense the same as the normal world, they surmise that General Wright and the King could be in any other different large rift, just like Left was. Tri goes up to the sky and locates two of these large rifts in Jabul Waters and the Gerudo Desert. Left and Lubri state that they will keep researching the rifts while Zelda goes out to save the others. She must, however, remain in disguise, since there are wanted posters everywhere. Zelda travels into the Gerudo Desert to find the great warriors worn out and tired from fending off persistent monster attacks coming from the large rift over their sanctum. Zelda cannot follow Tri to where an entrance can be made, as it is buried deep under sand. Zelda has refused entry to the sanctum since she has no authorization from the chief. Zelda then saves Captain Dona after she's overwhelmed by monsters not too long after. As thanks, she'll put a word in for her rescuer to help Zelda get an audience in Gerudo Town. Chief Sira has her reservations, as her daughter Dona is vouching for someone with no proof, since none of them know if Zelda can actually heal rifts, and her advisor Facette vehemently agrees that they should continue with their current strategy. To have proof, Dona sends Zelda around the desert to the smaller rifts there. While she does save other warriors from further harm and exhaustion, the rifts are far too small for her and Tri to enter the still world. Her kind and courageous actions and the support of the warriors sway Sira's opinion, but Facette seems angered. Before more can be done, a rift expands and soldiers are lost to it. Zelda is finally able to prove her power, and it is revealed that Facette had actually been pulled into a rift, with the one pushing against Zelda being an echo. Now Zelda is given permission, so she enters the sanctum and heals the rift. The Gerudo express their thanks, but Zelda's quest must continue as neither her father nor the general were found here. In Jabul Waters, Zelda finds Lord Jabu Jabu raging since a rift opened up in his den. The area where they could enter the still world is sealed by a door that can only be opened when the chiefs of the River and Sea Zora perform music together. Despite the crisis, the chiefs are in a current conflict as they believe their particular brand of music is better. Zelda has to work to get them to reconcile and be able to play a song aligned with each other as they used to. They make an agitated performance to Lord Jabu Jabu that results in their advisors being swallowed whole and Jabu Jabu rampaging harder. Zelda assists the chief in saving their people from smaller disasters caused by Jabu Jabu, while they learn that their own people see merit in the different styles of River and Sea Zora music. Once this is done, they reconcile their differences and are able to open the door for Zelda. The group discovers that the rampaging Lord Jabu Jabu was in fact an echo. Once she defeats it, the advisors are freed, and Zelda goes into the dungeon and heals the rift with Tri. After a celebration with the Zora filled with music, Zelda reunites with General Wright, who she saved by healing the rift. After all of this, a brief meeting is held at Lubri's house before General Wright charges off to Hyrule Castletown, where the king is thought to still be. However, he and Left are barred entrance with the copies already outmaneuvering them. Then, the rift expands, leading to a panic that allows Zelda to enter the town and the still world there. She confirms her father is there and that Impa was imprisoned due to helping her escape. Zelda herself defeats Ganon, and it's revealed that he also was an echo, meaning that someone else has the same power as Tri. As Zelda is about to leave the still world, a shadowy figure breaks down a wall and lunges for the princess. The real Link appears and fends it back with a stick. Zelda reaches out the Tri-Rod so they can leave together, but Link is captured in a crystal just like Zelda was, and flies into the abyss after the strange creature. Zelda finally reunites with her father, who quickly clears her name and sends her off for some well-needed rest. The next day, Zelda joins the King, General, Minister, Lubri, and Impa to discuss next steps, as peace has not yet been restored to the kingdom. News reaches them that new large rifts have formed on Eldin Volcano, Holy Mount Lanayru, and in the Faron wetlands. The king realises that all of this must be linked to the Prime Energy. Huge spoilers though, not really, it's the fucking Triforce. A legend states that a wise priestess and courageous hero will appear if evil strives for the Prime Energy and defeat it together. Everyone quickly realises that Link must be the hero, and Zelda is the priestess. Though not happy about this, as he only wanted his daughter to live peacefully, the king concedes and asks his daughter to venture out once more to close off the rifts. He and Impa provide her with ancestral vestments for her to wear as she travels and fulfills her destiny. On Hebra Mountain, Zelda meets Conde, a Yeti caretaker of the place. He's dealing with loneliness and abandonment following the death of his father and his brother leaving to find Holy Mount Lanayru. Thanks to Conde, Zelda is able to warm up in his house and more easily progress through the snowy region as he tidies away piles of snow. Over the course of everything, Zelda and Tri help Conde realise that he has been good and that his brother isn't staying away because he's been bad, and that it was a monster who attacked him, not his brother. In the Faron wetlands, Zelda deals with Deku Scrubs, who are obsessed with spiderweb candy floss that comes from the Sweet Spot, a huge rift inside a temple. To be able to access this exclusive club, Zelda retrieves a membership card from Blossu after fixing a rift to bring back their house. However, the other Scrubs didn't like that she got rid of another candy floss place, so she's thrown in jail. Zelda has to escape with nothing but a random stick, wit, and Tri's bind power in order to reclaim her Tri-Rod and freedom. When she finally enters the Sweet Spot, the rift grows larger and the Deku Scrubs realise it was more dangerous than they thought. Zelda is allowed to fix the rift to save the missing Scrubs, and the Deku Scrubs realise that smoothies are just way better than the shitty candy floss. On Eldin Volcano, a lot of the Goron tribe have fallen into rifts, and worst is that their new chief Darstan has too. After saving them from the rift in Goron City, Zelda assists Darstan in finding the missing Goron elders, while helping him figure out his own way of being their leader, since he was so focused on his father's nuggets of wisdom and being exactly like him, when all his advice doesn't work for Darstan always as a person. This results in him breaking his father's stone slab in order to help Zelda access Eldin Temple, symbolising him becoming his own man. During this time, after closing each rift, Zelda is fed some backstory. First, with all three sanctions, Zelda can reach the Prime Energy. Secondly, the goddesses created the world to contain a being named Null, who would consume all life, and that the rifts are created by them to return the world to the void, with the tries being made to undo the damage. Finally, she is told that the Prime Energy is protected by the Great Deku Tree in the Eternal Forest. After gaining the sanction of all three goddesses, Zelda is ambushed, and a copy of her with all of her power and sanctions is created. The copy approaches the unconscious princess and warps Zelda away to safety. Their plan to thwart their enemy from reaching the Triforce ended up being the enemy's plan. The king is still not pleased that Zelda must be sent off to danger again, but go she must. General Wright goes off ahead with some guards to make Zelda's route secure. When she arrives, the general and the guard have been knocked out. When roused, he accuses Zelda of attacking them, but Zelda assures him that it was her echo that must have done it. Zelda undergoes the trial in the forest and gains access to the Deku Tree, who has already met her echo. Zelda enters the ancient ruins and confronts her echo as the Triforce is summoned. The Fake touches the Triforce to make Null's wish for destruction and the Void, but it splits with the echo taking power, Zelda wisdom, and the final piece flying into the still world. Zelda battles her way through and finds her echo with the captured Link, who has the other Triforce piece. She defeats her echo and frees Link, returning his weapons to him. They enter Null's body and go through the dungeon working together to defeat monsters and solve the puzzles. They jump to the bottom floor and discover what remains of Zelda's echo get absorbed by Null, alongside the Triforce of Power. It creates the largest rift ever with the power boost and demands the other pieces from Zelda and Link. A long battle ensues and the duo fight Null to the point where they can pull the Triforce piece out of the being with Tri's bind power. The Triforce reunites. Link and Zelda touch it together, making Null and its surrounding body disappear. The Tris gather and use a boost from the Triforce to fix the massive rift, restoring Hyrule entirely. Zelda awakens in a white void surrounded by the Tris. Her companion, Tri, approaches her and explains that Null is now gone and the world is safe. However, now that the world no longer needs to be healed all the time, the Tris must return to the goddesses to slumber as they no longer have purpose. Zelda is of course saddened by this. Tri eventually understands why, since they can no longer be together, but Tri also understands the meaning of thank you and is full of gratitude for being able to meet and be with Zelda. Tri holds Zelda's hand before being pulled away. Zelda and Link then appear in Hyrule Castletown after a final warp. The residents greet their heroes before Lubri and Impa inspect the well-being of their wards. The king arrives with General Right and Minister Left to thank Zelda and Link for their deeds. Link speaks, shocking Gaul, as he wasn't able to after being lost to the rift as a child. Impa notices Tri's absence and everyone looks around for them. Zelda walks away looking forlorn, but looks up to the sky with a sad smile. The game probably hinting that tells everyone else what happened. Peace is returned to Hyrule. Zelda remains helping her father's rule, living in peace with her cat, but proudly displays the Tri-Rod in her bedroom within a magnificent frame. This game is quite the step forward, given that Nintendo themselves have made Zelda the protagonist of a mainline title. And yet, in spite of all of this, what happens to Zelda in this game calls back a lot to what happens to Link. Zelda being a wanted woman under false charges for the first part of the game calls back to how Link was treated in A Link to the Past, where Link was wanted for kidnapping the princess, when he had in fact rescued her initially. Zelda being a captive without access to weaponry, like Link in the first round of the Forbidden Fortress. Also, having to sneak around the Deku brings back memories of Majora's Mask. Let us not forget the CDI game comparisons, where Zelda is playable. Zelda must save Link. And the most important item is a magical rod. You know, a very big wand. Normally I would be praising this shit to the higher heavens. Zelda, the titular character, is playable in a main title. Should be fantastic, no? And yet, I can't rate her higher than any of my other S-tier Princess Zeldas. I rate Zelda mainly on her role and actions in the story, and who she is as a character, because sometimes that's all that makes one damseled princess different from the other. Hell, even with some hindsight, I've actually changed my ratings for her from when this series was a trilogy. Princess Zelda is more active than ever in this game. It's a game where her role is both elevated as being both above Link as his saviour, but also on equal footing as they must be together to defeat the evil. But we don't really know who she is, since we play as her and can make her as lawful or chaotic as we please.
Oh my days, oh!
Accurately beamed her.
Yes! Hello? Oh god! Ew! Stranger danger, bad! Get me out of here, Try!
Link,
What the fuck are you doing with a club?
what the fuck are you doing here?
Grab onto my rod! Quick! Oh no! He has been damseled!
The downside of Zelda being the protagonist is we go from a very highly characterised depiction of the princess to a more silent, blank slate with connections to the world and a motive for the quest, as many versions of Link has, like in Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. Zelda has become Link in a sense. She turns into a version of him when using the sword. Also, the very cute toy art style isn't the best in showing expressions, unless it is very obvious ones. Zelda is the Princess of Hyrule. It would be interesting to see or hear her thoughts on having to hide herself from her own people and save them from the shadows, before then having to do so publicly. The last Zelda who had to save people publicly felt a lot of pressure about this. Does she feel pressure, or is she perfectly fine? But as always, it's one-sided conversations, explanation, animations, and basic dialogue options normally to access shops and upgrades. Link is infamously silent. Nintendo even gave him a backstory, a reason for not talking in this game, a game in which he has very little screen time. I just don't understand why they made Zelda, the person who talks in literally every other game, just another silent protagonist. It's a missed opportunity. Are they truly afraid of CDI comparisons when they've only started to truly dabble in voice acting since Breath of the Wild? I'm not even asking for voice acting, I'm asking for my princess to talk in her game, even if it is just written. We like her as a character in other games, so why would we not like her here? Does she like being incognito so she can smash people's pots? Does she like being the princess? How does she actually feel about being a hero, the priestess, when in this game she actually has no real magic power? Getting on that minefield, Zelda herself to some extent isn't really a power in Hyrule beyond her title. Sure, she's the one adventuring and solving puzzles, being the wisdom of the game, but all of her so-called powers in the game are provided to her. The ability to make and use echoes and use the bind ability are all linked to her companion Tri, and their gathered power as the rifts are healed. The magic is not Zelda's. Zelda can't actively fight herself, she must use the echoes, because even though the Tri-Rod can cut grass through her spinning, it cannot be used to smack enemies. No, Zelda can't be Gandalf in Return of the King giving Denethor some smacks for being a fool. However, fighting in this style can be very tedious and time-consuming as we have to wait, often standing still for basic enemies to be defeated. Yawn. Also, there are so many echoes that you often forget what you have, and maybe I'm just shit at games, but I kept forgetting about the bind ability. I was fanning around so much at the end of the game because I forgot about its uses against the final blow to Null.
What?
Bind.
Bind! Right! Give it to me! You tried everything but that! Oh, mache!
Zelda can only actively fight when using the Sword of Might, which just makes her a female Link with a tiara, allowing her access to proper combat with swords, arrows and bombs. This is limited by a bar that can only be filled back up by events in the still world, by defeating rift enemies near tiny rifts, or making and drinking the right smoothies. Tedious, even when you upgrade the bar. But this is where the only satisfying combat is, and you have to give that all up at the end of the game so Link can have his shit back and be able to fight with you. These two aspects are what I often hear complained about the most when it comes to the game, beyond the UI, and while I enjoyed playing this, I very much noticed it too. The combat ends up less difficult than it is tedious and boring. You end up choosing most of the time to ignore enemies in the overworld once you've collected their echoes and only defeat them if you really have to. The Slumber Dojo does help by making it more of an element of challenge and puzzle solving with its time limits and, on occasion, depowering you, like I assume it was designed to be. Hell, the whole reason Nintendo revealed that Zelda was chosen as protagonist was because of the echo mechanic, because you wouldn't use it if you were Link and could just hack and slash willy-nilly. It would have been nice if Zelda had some element of power on her own as priestess, bar her natural ability to see Tri, that we just could have unlocked over the course of the game. Like, sure, have us rely on echoes and the sword for the early period of the game, but then allow us to use Zelda to actually fight later on when she's had more experience out in the field. We would still be using the echoes to be able to easily explore all of Hyrule, but it would be good to have the combat be more fun and actually empower Zelda herself. Why must she have something else fight for her? Why must she become someone else to be able to fight? It's the Zelda chic discourse all over again. Yes, this time Zelda may remain the princess, but she transforms into a variant of Link when using the sword and its abilities. This is why I say she needs some sort of combat upgrade for herself. It could be linked to the sanctions that she gets from the goddesses, giving her extra powers, and thus that would help in the replayability of the game, as you could see how the other powers might assist you in a place that you did before. See Breath of the Wild's champion powers. The problem as well with this game is that it is so heavily overshadowed by the era of the Wild, releasing only a year after Tears of the Kingdom, and now to be followed by Age of Imprisonment. I still see fan art of both versions of the Wild era Zelda, but barely any of the Echoes princess. The game is so buried and forgotten, which is a shame because this was the most engaged I felt in a Zelda game recently, and I actually felt like I progressed through a story doing themed dungeons and getting more powerful as I did so, in spite of all my complaints about the combat. But as I said, Zelda herself as a character is a blank state. She, and we by extension, are told she is important as the priestess of legend. But as I said, beyond seeing Tri without having fallen into a rift, she has no power of her own. A lot of what she does in the game is still coded to Link. She can't even be the one person to save the world on her own. She has to do it with Link, who wasn't her companion for the whole game, just a stranger who set her free. They didn't know each other. I guess she felt like she had to save him in return? I don't know, we just don't know her thoughts. Zelda throughout this game inspires people to be themselves, to be strong, be better, and not get caught up in stuff, but she herself gets no character development. She is told she has to do something, and she does it, like a Link would, apart from the many points where her adventure would have been over had Destiny not told her father that she got to get her boots on and go adventure. The more I look at this version of Zelda, I would rate her high, yet in principle, she's the same as the princess from Zelda's Adventure from the CDI. The active adventurer and silent, except she can't smack people with her stick, and her game is actually vastly superior and actually works. So there is no conclusion this time. I think I still stand by what I said before. Princess Zelda in any incarnation is usually limited by the story of the player versus the monster of the time, especially in the main titles of the series. Zelda, similar to other princesses, seems to often get pushed back unless it's in a spin-off title. Overall, yes, Zelda's role in the video games does improve over time, especially since she is the star of some of the latest titles. Nintendo just really needs to work on the presentation of the story with the newer big releases, since it's really gone downhill. And if Zelda is to be the protagonist, give her some of her own damn power and not be using everyone else's. It is somewhat ironic that when I wrote my findings on Tis the Kingdom's Princess back in 2023, that the following years involved 2 games that should fix my issues with it, I complain about Zelda not being playable. Lo, here be Echoes of Wisdom, a game where Zelda is the star and key player in everything. I say there should be an Age of Calamity equivalent because of how much the fragmented storytelling failed Tears of the Kingdom. Time will tell if Age of Imprisonment fixes my problems with the new part of the Wild Era, but I guess it looks promising, just by proxy of it actually following Zelda's more interesting story. Now, let's quickly update that tier list with adjusted rankings and all of the new games included. Okay, so here is my original tier list from my, trilogy of videos that I did back in, I think it was 2021. It took a while. So, as you can see, that was my original thoughts, but as I've hinted at quite a lot, my opinions and such has changed from my original ranking, and on top of that, I looked closer and realised I didn't even put Ocarina of Time Zelda in there, so I've got to make some adjustments and then add in her, and then all of the new Zeldas that I have talked about since. Okay, so here is my brand new tier list with new images and all that, so let us begin. So first things first, Tetra goes to the trash. Heading up to the Amazing Zelda's Spirit Tracks, she is fine, there is no need to move. Hyrule Warriors, she is going to go down because she isn't actually as good, and Age of Calamity Zelda, wow, that's good. Tetra, interesting one. Oh, she's okay, she is great, certainly, but is she as good as the others? Twilight Princess is also a difficult one. Very difficult one to place. Let me have a think. She does quite a bit in the game, but also not very much at all. So I'm going to actually move her down to good. There's actually nothing too amazing. So looking at the other 2 that are there, Skyward Sword Zelda. Actually, yeah, she's really good. She's going up. Breath of the Wild, she's also really good. But is she better than Skyward Sword? I mean, she is that good, but the presentation of the story ruins it, so she can go back down. Yeah, that'll do good. I realised I was a bit of a CDI hater before, so controversial, she's going up. She fought, she had a personality. What more can you ask for from a Zelda, really? Apart from what is in Amazing, I guess. She's still not getting too high up because she is a CDI Zelda, but she's not actually that bad, all things considered. I mean, come on. Moving on, Minish Cap Zelda. Yeah, she's fine, she's good. Smash Brothers only ended up here purely because of the fact that she is active, she is a fighter, she can do stuff, but she doesn't really have, like, personality or does loads, you know, like, she's in subspace and all that, but let's move on to the fine. There's a lot of fine here. Original Zelda, she is good. She can go up in good. She did so much in, like, the manual material stuff. Like, she set everything up for the actual game to go ahead. She sent Impa, she broke up the Triforce. She's great. A Link to the Past. Oh, this is a difficult one to place. I really don't know. Zelda's Adventure. I mean, technically she should be higher than she is because she is an active Zelda, but she is silent and a bit crap, and the game is just terrible, so I might still dock her for that. Ooh, it's a toughie. Is she better than that one? Yeah, she can be the top of fine, because I can't go any higher than that. Oracle Zelda, she is difficult. She did a lot in the Linked game. Obviously wasn't involved at all in the separate, like, Ages and Seasons games. But she did do stuff there. I'm stuck, so let's go down to Air. Sleeping Zelda, she's okay, but she's not great, so she can stay in Air purely because, well, she said no to telling her brother where the Triforce was and got put to sleep, and that's really her story. Can't say more than that, really. Four Swords Zelda, she's much of the same. She's there at the start, she gets kidnapped, and then you save her. There's not loads to it, so let's go back up to fine. Four Swords Adventure, now, she was a lot better than that one. She actually, like, there was a good reason, she, like, helped you at the end, so yeah, she can go up to the top of the, like, more passive fine Zeldas. Now we've got the difficult three to figure out. Well, Oracle actually should go above them too, because she does do a bit more in this world, but how do we figure out the, like, link to or between whatever Zeldas? Kind of difficult. Like, Link to the Past, she calls to you, you rescue her, she's then kidnapped and sacrificed anyway, and then that's about really it for her. She doesn't do loads after that. I mean, she does some, but not much. Then Link Between Worlds, she gives you the pendant. She does get turned into the painting, but she does also have all that stuff with Hilda, and she actually does bring back Low Roll, so yeah. She can go above A Link to the Past Zelda in that regard. Okay, now we put in Ocarina of Time Zelda, so she's a pretty good one. I mean, she's great so long as you consider that she is her, and a part of her always. So do I put her in good, or do I put her in great? Ooh, she is definitely better than all the good ones, so I think I'll pop her in the bottom of great, since that fits her a lot better. So there we go, everything is now somewhat reorganised, I think. Oh wait, I forgot. Hyrule Warriors Legends Tetra is still technically a different version, so where would I put her? She fights, so she's a bit better than the good ones, I guess. She does get kidnapped by the bird, but I think I'll just put her at the bottom of great, because I can't see this version being much better than the others, and, well, Wind Waker, her is cool. Moving on, Game & Watch Zelda, Bin. What else can I say about her? Bin. Who next? BS Zelda. Yeah, she's kind of She doesn't do as much as the original Legend of Zelda, despite it being a remake of that game. It's the whole thing about, like, the ceiling imprisoning wall thing. Nah, You get and you go to the bottom of the others because you don't do those. Cadence of Hyrule, oh well, she's amazing. She can go above Hyrule Warrior Zelda because she is equal to Link. She fights actively, and well, let's face it, Hyrule Warriors Link is the most important person in the universe. Now, Ancient Stone Tablets is the same person as A Link to the Past, but she does so much more than her, so she can go up into good. I can't say if I could put her any higher, but yeah, that's a good fit for her. She does a lot, she adds a lot to the story, she can go right there. That fits her. Okay, next up to try ranking would be, well, it's Tears of the Kingdom Zelda. She's a difficult one to place. She's certainly not just fine. She's good, but she's definitely better than them. She's the same person as that Zelda, but I don't know. It's really hard to explain fully why I have so much problems with that version of Zelda, whereas she's the same as Breath, but somewhat better, but also somewhat worse. And I think, again, like with Breath, the interpretation of the story ruins it, and that's my struggle with placing her. Like, technically in what she's done, she is higher than the other Zeldas there, that I put her above, but I can't rate her higher than Breath of the Wild. Oh, God, I love and hate this version of her. And now, Echoes of Wisdom. Where to put her? Well, obviously, I shouldn't put her in good. She goes into amazing. Like, she's the main protagonist of the game, realistically. So, fact of the matter is... Oh, but where do I put her around the others? Would she be okay being on the end? Let's put her... above Hyrule Warriors but below Cadence, because she has to work with Link despite her being the protagonist. And yeah, Hyrule Warriors, I've realised over time, she's not as amazing as I thought, but she at least does more than, unfortunately, a lot of the great Zeldas, despite me really, really liking those versions of them. Now, the last one to rank, of course, would be Age of Imprisonment, but the game's not out, so I can only just guess. So, realistically, I get the feeling she's going to probably be somewhat amazing, because she'll be better than the Tears of the Kingdom version, because the story will be done better. But obviously, I can't say if she'll be better or worse than anyone else on Amazing. So, like, maybe she'll go higher, maybe she'll stay just where she is, but... well, at the moment I can't really put her on there, so I'll have to put her somewhere else. And there we go, so I've adjusted it so I can put her off the tier list. So I'm now going to pop up the proper tier list now, so you can all look at it for a couple of seconds before we actually fully move on from this. So here it is! And now, that is all of the games done. We're going to now move on to more Zelda! Do you really think I was done with her? I have a problem! I have an obsession and you all suffer with me! Princess Peaches, you're going to have to wait. I have some cartoons to watch.
Excuse me, princess! Hey! Excuse me, princess! Excuse me, princess! Well, excuse me, princess! Hey! Excuse me, princess! Well, excuse me!
Dear God, what am I doing to myself?